Alright, this is going to be a full, in-depth review. I'm going to try one of the. I'm going to try doing this every month. I took a full in-depth review. Usually I just do a full skim of over the pay-per-view, but this time I'm going to see how it works anyway. Doing a full in-depth review, giving my thoughts on Night of Champions 2012. The video package, I'll just start from there. It opened up, it kind of showed the history of the titles and pretty much what they meant. Thought it was funny how, they show, the great champions, it's Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and then you cut to, you got Cena there, and then you got Layla, and they're showing just how the titles actually meant something one day, and now they've really, in all honesty, besides this pay-per-view, they really don't emphasize much on the titles, and I don't know, I thought it was a little weird. But good way to open the show was Jerry Lawler update, and crowd was chanting Jerry in the back as the camera was on Cole, saying, and he was perky, he's very into it, he was very back, you could tell he's back on track. He announced that Jerry Lawler is doing good, and this coming week, he's going to be going to Memphis, returning home, and as a surprise, to fill in his spot for the pay-per-view. I don't know if it's for good until Lawler comes back or just for this pay-per-view, but either way, it doesn't matter. JBL came back, great ovation, good way to start the show. There was a pink-themed color, notably on the tables and the ring. The middle rope was pink, and as well as many signs, and the wrestlers were kind of sporting pink for the most part. You had Ray, and Cena. Nice, friendly gesture. I have my pink wristband somewhere, but, pink, cancer, it's all good. And he's opened the match with a fatal four-way for the Intercontinental title. The Miz versus Cody Rhodes versus Mysterio versus Cara. And not going to lie, first Miz complains. He said I don't know if they're going to do something with the storyline, or most likely they're going to forget about it. But Miz said he's going to file a complaint against Booker T because he's the only champion who had to defend his belt against 3 other people where everyone else was just one-on-one. So, match started off very sloppy, not going to lie. The guys kind of, there was a lot of hesitation between the moves. And they were teasing a Ray versus Sin Cara altercation at the beginning, and then we finally got one. And not going to lie, I enjoyed it for the most part, and I hope these two have a match at WrestleMania, because I do think Mysterio and Sin Cara can work good together, especially considering Sin Cara and Ray pretty much have the same background when it comes to their lucha libre style. And I think Mysterio is a guy who can really make Sin Cara look good and carry him to a good match. And the finish, what happened with the mask? Sin Cara tried putting the mask on Cody for some reason. Don't understand why he did. Well, what's the point of that? Besides trying to blind your opponent, I guess. But failed. He didn't do it to Cody, but he managed to do it to Miz. And then out of nowhere, Miz hits the skull-crushing finale on Cody Rhodes, pinning him and retaining the belt. And then Miz had that look on his face. He's like, what did I just do? Did I just pin the wrong guy? When JBL was saying, it's a fatal four-way, it's every man for himself, why are you acting like you pinned the wrong person? It's not like it was a tag team match, but, that was that. It was a good opener, good way to start the show. I enjoyed it. Then we had a primetime player promo saying that they are the team of the people, they want to be out there with the people, and if AJ didn't book the match for the number 1 contendership, they would have been out there now. Very entertaining. The guy with the whistle, Titus O'Neil. I laughed. But I laughed more at the next thing when, some random person came in and said there's a problem out here. You had Caitlyn lying on the floor, sobbing and very, very upset that her leg, someone had jumped her in a mask. Maybe it was a Sin Cara mask. And she could no longer, compete. And her acting was what made it for me. It was very, very bad. Really made the whole thing a big joke, and Eve just said, okay, we'll see what happens. And then we cut to a Daniel Bryan and Kane promo. They pretty much did the whole anger management thing. I laughed. Whenever they play that hugging thing, and I forgot what the song is, but they play really happy music, and then that just gets me every time. So Daniel Bryan comes out, crowd is all over him. What do you expect? And Daniel Bryan just plays it just amazingly. Cole was mentioning great tag team champions, and he squeezed in the Basham brothers. And then he mentioned the Cabinet, and I just laughed at the fact that the Basham brothers are still being referenced to in 2012. And, you know, you kind of had teasing between Daniel Bryan and Kane where it was like Kane would go to do something, and Daniel Bryan would go to do something, and Kane would save him, and Daniel Bryan would be like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm trying to save you. He's gonna kick your head off. He's doing this. He's doing that." And they kind of played it like that, and then the two got mad at each other, and then they kind of took a deep breath, and then they hugged each other right in the middle of the match. They hugged it out, and the crowd went nuts. And I wrote down in my notes thing here that before this, this segment here, the hugging thing, that was the biggest pop of the night. Forget Daniel Bryan's ovation, forget the Lawler chants, JBL. Daniel Bryan and Kane hugging in the middle of the ring got the biggest pop of the night to that point. And the ending pretty much came where Daniel Bryan tagged Kane. Kane went for a clothesline, and they kind of pushed each other along the way. Daniel Bryan got mad. He held Kane's leg, and Kane pushed Bryan. Bryan kicked Kane on top of Kofi for the 3 count, and Daniel Bryan's celebration was priceless. He just acted like he won the world title, and I talked about that in my other video, so I won't go too much about that. So, an update from Caitlyn, if you guys care. She has an injured ankle. She won't be able to compete, so Booker T gives Eve the opportunity. And then we had Ryder versus Antonio Cesaro for the U.S. title. The crowd, or well, at least Cole and the crowd, loved Antonio's throw him up in the air and boom, European him right in the jaw. You saw him do it at ROH, and you should see him do it to a guy who's 110 pounds, like that one show. I forgot what it's called, against the Set. I remember the tag team very well. That was impactful. So I'm glad to see, and JBL was putting Antonio Cesaro over like crazy, which is really good to see. The match was okay. It was good for Zack Ryder's standards, that is. But Cesaro hit the neutralizer after distraction from Ixana, and retained the title. And then you had David Otunga and Ricardo backstage. Otunga mentioned that he's from Boston, and Harvard was in Boston, or the Massachusetts area. And they pretty much said, keep your neck brace on. You have to act like, pretty much saying the whole neck thing was a hoax. They weren't actually injured. They're just showing it to really rub it in and show that it's actually a dangerous move. Then we had what was a very surprising match, Randy Orton versus Dolph Ziggler. It started off a little bit slow, but what else do you really expect for a Randy Orton match? There was one rest period in there that was so long, I swear I went to the bathroom, I came back, and it was still in that headlock. And match really picked up after that. I guess that was what the rest period was for. You had a yeah and boo spot, and a pretty long one, and a pretty loud one also. Ziggler and Orton just punched each other, yeah boo, yeah boo, yeah boo. Orton hit the DDT on the floor, which is a notable thing in the match. And the RKO, it was almost like Cesaro's uppercut, where it was kind of, he threw him up in the air, and then he just caught him right mid-air and gave him an RKO. Very, very cool. And I can see Orton in the title picture. Probably facing Sheamus in a face versus face match. I can see it happening. And a match I don't want to spend too much time on, Eve versus Layla. Very, very stupid. I don't even know what to say. It was a very bad match, very long and unbearable to sit through. Twisting neck breaker, and pretty much Layla went to go shake Eve's hand in the middle of the match. She just took over from there and ended up winning becoming your new Divas champion. And then they had a breast cancer survivor segment. They were all sitting in the front row. And backstage, Daniel Bryan was walking around. I'm the new tag team champions and whatever. And then AJ was there. She walked right by her. And the Shelby guy was there. And then Kane came in. I'm the WWE tag team champions. I'm the WWE tag team champions. And Shelby, who surprisingly plays his role very well, and then AJ kind of came, she kind of lost it as well. And what happened was, I thought it was pretty Kane said he's going to Disneyland after spilling Gatorade over Daniel Bryan, getting it all over AJ. And, I'm not going to lie, I condone this. I'm not saying anything bad about this. Keep AJ in her shorts and keep that coming. World Heavyweight title match, Sheamus versus Del Rio. Booker T came out before the match saying the Bro Kick is now reinstated, saying if you're a WWE champion or a WWE superstar, you take risks, and those risks involve a Bro Kick. So "We want Ziggler" chants. I have that written down here. It was heard throughout the match. For me, it was just one of their usual, very slow pace, but it did pick up after Sheamus was constantly getting his arm worked on, and Del Rio went for the arm breaker, I believe, 3 times, and I think 2 of those 3 times I thought he was going to tap, honestly. But he didn't. He got out, and Del Rio went for a kick. Sheamus moved, hit him with a bro kick, and Sheamus retains. It was an alright match. And the main event, talked about this in my other video, John Cena versus CM Punk. They had the flashbacks, pretty much putting in perspective of Cena's promo from Monday. And Punk came out in his New York Yankee pinstripe gear, which I believe was classic, even though he's a Cubs fan himself, so I'm sure it was hard for him to put that on. The crowd reactions were 50-50, but kind of came out, yeah, I guess it stayed 50 throughout the whole thing. But, both guys hit moves that they don't usually hit, such as a moonsault, a rock bottom, a suicide dive, a German suplex, from the top rope to the ground into a bridge, nonetheless. So both guys really leaving it out in the ring and putting on a great match. And pretty much, well, not pretty much, the finish came. Both guys hit the finishers, they both kicked out. Punk was, I believe, going up for something, maybe another moonsault. The Cena runs up the ropes, shoot style, grabs him, German suplex into a bridge, 1, 2, 3. Everyone, including myself, thought Cena was a new champ. He celebrated. Ref takes the belt, gives it to Punk, saying that both shoulders were on the mat, and thus match is a draw, leading Punk to still be WWE champion. And I didn't even know. Watched the replay, made sense. Punk hit Cena with a belt, walked out, saying, "I'm the best in the world." Heyman's just holding him back, kind of CM Punk going crazy there. Great match. Can't say anything bad about this match because they both left in the ring. They told a great story, and it's going to lead on to another chapter to this great feud. And that's my review. Try not to keep it too long, and I'll see you guys in the next video.